Caleb Austin, otherwise known as Dr. Feelgood, joins me now as he gets ready to fight this Saturday at NEF 42 when he matches up against Dillon Henry. Caleb, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Really good, man. Thank you for the time. Excited to have you on the show. I've heard a lot of great things about you. Matt Peterson has nothing but positive things to say, and you clearly have an exciting future here as a mixed martial artist. Tell me a little bit about this camp. How's it been?
It's been really good. I've been in the gym about 2 to 3 times a day so far, and now I'm just focusing on my weight. I'm like a pound over right now, and I'm just really looking forward to weighing ins and then fighting.
Nice. Now, you said 2 to 3 times a day. What does your schedule typically look like? Do you have a job that you do, or are you just training MMA full time right now?
I'm training MMA full time right now. I wake up, I go to my town's gym, lift some weights, and then later in the day I go to practice.
So, how old are you?
I just turned 21.
Okay, so 21. That's a good age. I remember those days. So you're not working at all, or do you plan to work, or is this just kind of like for the time being, you're just focusing full time on MMA? How does that work? Because I know, especially as an amateur, I don't know what your living situation is like, but I got to imagine most people your age have something else that they're doing outside of just training.
Mm-hmm. I work with my dad sometimes. That's nice. But right now, just MMA for right now.
Well, that's good. That might be a problem for your opponents moving forward if all you're doing is focusing on MMA, and very good for you. Now, you said you're only a pound over right now. How good or how hard is the weight cut for you typically to get down and fight at this weight class?
Well, I wrestled this in high school, but I'm walking around pretty heavy usually, so I'm used to the weight cut, but it sucks as usual.
How heavy do you get? Like, what's the heaviest you'll tip the scales at?
Heaviest I've gotten was 150.
Oh, wow. And you're how tall?
5'6".
5'6". Okay. All right. Well, you clearly look the part when you step inside the cage. So I'm sure the weight cut moving forward will be no issue for you. Let's talk about, I guess, your transition into MMA. I do understand you come from a long line of wrestlers. You did very well for yourself. Was it a natural progression into mixed martial arts? Did you always know you wanted to get into MMA?
I didn't really know that I wanted to, but my dad did it, and then a few of my friends did it. So it was kind of just like a bandwagon thing, and just kind of stuck after that.
Now, did you have like anybody that you really looked up to? Do you have any idols in MMA? Is it your father? You could just kind of look up to him, or is there anyone in the UFC that you really kind of aspire to be like?
Yeah, I used to watch. Well, I still watch UFC to this day. Back then it was like Chuck Liddell, all them type of guys, Anderson Silva. Now it's like I look up to like Khabib because he's a wrestler, and I always like root for the wrestlers now. So I hope that's a good role model for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my favorite was always George St. Pierre. So he doesn't have your traditional, I guess, wrestling background. He's more of like an athlete that became a phenomenal wrestler. But yeah, wrestling is very important in the sport, and clearly you have that right in your back pocket. I want to talk about this nickname, Dr. Feelgood. How did that come about?
So I was in middle school when it happened, and I went to a Motley Crue concert with my mother, and that song came on, and I was like, wow, that's a really good song. So I just like put it in my name in like 6th grade, and then I don't have Facebook anymore, so I can't change it, and it just stuck after that.
Nice. Well, that is a good song. I do agree. And a good band as well. It got me to thinking, too, about maybe like an alter ego for you for MMA. Hear me out. Tell me what you think. So your last name is Austin.
Yeah.
You Stone Cold Steve Austin. You ever thought about making like Austin 316 shirts and coming out to wearing like a leather vest and going that route? Just changing it up?
Yeah, that's funny because when all the time when I was little, I used to tell people he was my uncle. But clearly he's not. It was just funny, like, to see their reaction and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, and plus it might really gather you a whole nother group of fans, especially here in Maine. Everyone loves that type of character. So you never know. Just a thought. I figured I'd mention it. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about, your debut fight against James Ploss. I was right there. I called the fight, so I saw everything that took place. I understand coming from a wrestling background, you do what the ref tells you to do. The ref did not see the tap. So you kept on fighting, and that's really no fault of your own. You ended up getting the victory. So at the end of the day, you did what you needed to do to get your hand raised, and you didn't do anything against the rules. What did you learn from that? Like, just tell me a little bit, because I know it was tough. A lot of people got all over you about it. How hard was that, and how did you grow?
Well, first off, I didn't really want to win that way. It was very like not good in my eyes, and clearly to other people too. I took 2 years off after that just because I didn't want to get back into the ring, to focus on school and stuff. But what I learned from that, just do what the ref tells you, I guess. Obviously, hope it doesn't happen again.
Mm-hmm. Does the outside chatter when people, especially in a sport like MMA, there's a lot of very opinionated people, and you know, a lot of trash talk. I mean, you just look at someone who's at the highest of the levels right now, Conor McGregor. I mean, he's done it inside the cage, but he's also built his brand by talking trash. So it's kind of hand in hand in this sport in a lot of ways. Does that bother you, or has it just kind of toughened you up, going through kind of a controversy like that here as a mixed martial artist?
At first, like the first few months, it bothered me, but now it doesn't. Like, I can deal with trash talk and stuff like that because I've dealt with it for a while for wrestling. So I'm just not that. I'm not the type of person to talk back or even like get involved with all that.
Well, clearly you've evolved since that debut fight. I mean, James Ploss, that's a tough opponent in itself, but you went on to win your next two fights and did it very impressively, both finished victories for yourself. How do you feel like you've evolved as a fighter since your debut?
A lot more experience. I've put in the time in and just fine-tuning things. Just in the gym, I feel a lot stronger, better, more crisp. And just overall, just more confident.
And right now, you're 3-0. You get this win, you'll be 4-0. How far away do you think you'll be from a title shot?
After this fight, I'm gonna keep on fighting for every card. I plan on it. So hopefully at the end of the year, towards the end of the year.
I just interviewed a fellow by the name of Jake Bagley. I'm sure you know the name. And he didn't hold back about wanting to fight you. He made it very clear that he wants to fight you. And he was upset that you took this fight against Dillon Henry. He felt like you should be fighting a guy with a better record and whatnot. We'll get to Henry here in a minute. But did you see that? Did you hear anything about his call out? And if so, what are your thoughts about a potential fight with Jake Bagley?
I would absolutely love to fight Jake Bagley. But like on Facebook and stuff, I don't have Facebook, so everyone keeps talking and I don't even see it. That's what I think the funny part is. Like, I don't see it at all. I just hear like, oh, so and so is talking about you. But yeah, that would definitely be a good fight. I would like that.
How do you think you guys match up? Do you feel like it would be fireworks, first round knockout, or do you think that, I mean, he's a tough guy himself. Is this a fight that would go the duration, maybe get you some cage time and some experience? Like, how do you think that fight would play?
I mean, we're both good wrestlers, but I feel like I would come out on top, most definitely.
All right. Well, I know he's calling for that to be a title matchup. So who knows? Maybe if he gets his next victory, you go in, you beat Henry, then maybe Matt Peterson will make that. It'll be interesting to see what happens here in the near future. Now, your fight here is Saturday down in Portland. Are you expecting a lot of family and friends to be down there supporting you come fight night?
I am, yeah. That's the best part about the fighting is having your friends and family there to support you. I love it.
Does it get you any more nervous, or does it just pump you up, make you perform better?
I don't really get nervous. I just stay calm, stay cool. But yeah, it does get me pumped up a lot.
What do you do before fight start? Do you listen to music to calm yourself down? Like what do you do to I guess prepare to step in the cage?
I kind of like separate myself from like we're in the locker room. I just like do my own thing. As I get my hands wrapped, listen to calm music so I don't get like my adrenaline up yet. I don't like to burn myself out before the fight. Just keep like calm, cool, collected mind, and like throughout leading up to the fight, I don't even like think that I have a fight. Like just a few days ago, I just remember like, oh, I'm fighting, but it just like practice still.
Well, I'm excited to see you step back in the cage this weekend. Let's talk about this fight with Dillon Henry. He is 0-3, but a lot of people feel like, he's fought a lot of tough guys too early on in his career, much like yourself. So maybe that record attributes to him fighting difficult opponents. He did say something about you leading up to this fight, and I want to quote him properly. He said, "You haven't stood in there with anyone who could actually hurt you. Well, I promise you that's about to change." Do you have a response to that?
Well, that's a good mindset for him, and I hope he brings that fire into the cage.
What do you feel about his style? Do you feel like he can do anything and present anything to give you any problems, or do you feel like you're going to dominate this fight?
I feel like it's gonna play out for like my last 2 fights.
First round knockout?
Or second, either or.
Okay. Now, do you feel like there's going to be some wrestling exchanges, or are you trying to go in and showcase off a certain skill set that you've been working on, or are you just going to go where the fight leads you?
I've been working on a few new things, but wherever the fight leads, I'm just gonna wing it and just see what happens, and just do what I do best.
All right, very cool. Well, you did say that you're hoping to fight every card for NEF moving forward. So tell me a little bit, I guess, about what your plans are down the road as far as turning professional. Do you feel like you're going to stay an amateur for a while? I mean, you're only 21 years old. You're still very, very young. Are you trying to get a bunch of AMI fights and then turn pro later, or just what's your mindset with that?
I plan on staying amateur division for a while, maybe like another year, and see where that goes, and hopefully I can turn pro after that.
All right. Well, I wish nothing but the best for you, my friend. I appreciate the time. Look forward to seeing you down in Portland this weekend. Before I let you go, anyone you want to thank or any sponsors that you have, the floor is yours.
I'd like to thank all my sponsors like Universal, Custom Builders, Dare Go, Mount Valley Youth, all of them. There have been such a help, and my friends and family. They've been pushing me hard, like motivating me and everything, and the NEF for letting me fight this time.